This is where the fun begins.
Are you sure? So be it.
George Lucas ruined my life. 57 years ago, I did his little Star Wars film. The fact that you made me into a little doll that my first husband could stick pins into, a shampoo bottle where people could twist my head off and pour liquid out of my neck, lather up with Leia and you'll feel like a princess yourself. And yes, the little Pez dispensers. And though amongst your many possessions you have owned my likeness, lo, all these years, so that every time I look in the mirror, I have to send you a check for a couple of bucks. You had the unmitigated gall to let that chick, the new girl who plays my mother, Queen Amadillo, or whatever her name is, she wears a new hairstyle and outfit practically every time she walks through a door. I mean, I bet she even got to wear a bra. Even though you told me I couldn't because there was no underwear in space. I hope I slept with you to get the job, because if not, who the hell was that guy?
Caf. Lots of it. For me and for the Ready Room. I have a feeling this mission is not one we can fly in our sleep.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Caf Chat, our Thursday morning meetup to talk Star Wars lore, news, all of that, particularly George Lucas' era of Star Wars. How are you guys doing? And if you are catching the replay, thank you for tuning in, and please stay engaged and comment below and let me know you are here. Press that like button, and of course, share this stream out to every social media outlets you are on, no matter if you're watching live or if you're here with me currently. Good morning. How you guys doing? I am the female fan that you guys return to talk Star Wars with. If you have not seen on Twitter, and I don't know if it's predominant right now on like Facebook or other Star Wars entities, social media entities or whatever, but that rhetoric, that narrative about female Star Wars fans, whether they belong or not, is going around again. And you got to thank Joshy Boy for that. And I don't agree with him, but then I don't agree with all these new age fans. That's what I'm going to call them. These female fans that came in only because of Disney Star Wars, new age fans, right? I don't agree with them either. I have my own perspective, and we'll get into that among other things. But first of all, what is in your mug? What are you drinking? What are you enjoying as we sit and have our conversation about Star Wars? How are you guys doing? All right. So let me see who's in the chat. Okay. Rest in peace to the great Drew Struzan. Yes. Oh God. Yeah. I know. It was pretty sad. I knew, like, I when I heard that he was not doing too well with his Alzheimer's, or I think it's Alzheimer's. Yeah. Sorry if I forgot what's going on with him. Like which illness, disease. I apologize for that. But when I heard about his state, and we talked about it here on the channel, I presented it here on the channel. I knew this was something that was going to come, right? We all know that when this kind of disease happens to the mind, to the body, to the spirit, it takes you. And, you know, his brilliance will not be forgotten. the visualization that he gave us, not only with movie posters like for Lucasfilm and stuff, but also within the expanded universe and even TV guides, Star Wars TV guides. So when Star Wars was on the cover of the TV guide, it was his work that was presented there, that was used. And George highly used him, admired him just as much as he did Ralph McQuarrie. And this is not, saying that Ralph McQuarrie didn't bring us what we know visually about Star Wars, because without Ralph McQuarrie, Drew couldn't exist either, right? Like for Star Wars, for the visualizations for Star Wars, right? So you have these tie-ins together, these creatives, these artists that came together and helped George create his visualization of the vision of the Star Wars universe that we know, right? And so we are going to pay homage to Drew today. We're also going to do Lucas Facts and Book of the Week. We are going to get in Cringe Factor talking about female Star Wars. Yes, that's going to be Cringe Factor. So no screen rant bullcrap. Not this time. But we are going to get into that, among other things, like even a little bit of lore talk with New Jedi Order. We just can't stop and pause New Jedi Order whenever something happens with. But I think this is a special occasion that we need to take pause for and recognize Drew Struzan for. And I do have a poster, one of the original posters that, not the original, but I have a copy that was signed by him. So I will cherish that, with all my heart. All right. First of all, so let me see here. I do have Silver Org has re-upped his membership to new member. And I know I have to scroll down for it, but I see it right here. So thank you so much. Caf Chat, not Caf Chat. Book club is going to happen this Sunday. I meant to have the link ready by last night. It just never happened. So it'll be up by today. So if you are a channel member or want to become a channel member, that's what you have to look forward to, is the book club. We are on book 6, I believe. Yeah, of Young Jedi Knights. So stay tuned for that this Sunday. I would love to have all of you guys that are in the chat here today with us, even if you have to play catch up on the Young Jedi Knights. All right, so let's go ahead and say hello to everyone here. Matthew is here, and he says, I have some of his art in my collection. The Korean laser disc for the Temple of Doom, for example. Drew was a great artist. He did the 10th anniversary poster for Star Wars and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Correct. I'm going to share all like Lucasfilm Star Wars, art that he did. But that's not to say that, or to belittle or say everything else that he did was insignificant. But because we are a Star Wars channel, even though Indiana Jones is a Lucasfilm production, I'm just sharing Star Wars. And but please share, even if it's not Star Wars, your favorite art of his. I want you to share. I love it. So thank you, Matthew, for sharing. And then Conrado is here. I watched a nostalgia critic video on Drew Struzan recently. That's pretty cool. And Nerdmigos, I can't even talk. Nerdmigos is here. Good morning. Rest in peace, Drew. Yes, and if you guys did not catch my talking EU with him, it was such a great conversation. I interview people of all levels of their knowledge in EU because I want to know what got you into Star Wars and what got you into the EU, even if you're barely starting out now. I think it's amazing to see and highlight people who are experienced in the EU and those are coming into the EU and wanting to learn more and stuff. But I do still owe you a DM with that information I meant to send you, so I'll get it to you. And our Vato is here, Soul Assassin as well. And I'm not going to play the clip today. I did get a copyright strike again for that. And I have not tried to dispute it. And I should go back to that video and dispute it. 2 minutes late. My goodness, OG is running on Cali time or something. I always start at 9:05. I always give a 5-minute grace period from 9 o'clock. So I start at 9:05. So if I start at 9:07, it's my excuse. I'm going to say it. The baby girl, my granddaughter. Yeah. I was feeding her and helping out with her father with her and handed her off. And now they are cuddling, snuggling, doing the baby girl and daddy thing. I think it's precious when, fathers, put in their time and just love on their babies, no matter girl or boy and stuff. I just think it's just something just to cherish and watch and witness. But that's just me. All right. So Conrado says we give a 10-bell salute to Drew Struzan, even though he's not a wrestler. Okay. Oh, even though, yeah. Yeah. I should have grabbed regular water on top of coffee. Yes, follow me on Twitter. I am there, and that's where I'll do a lot of my work for the channel. And there's things that I do on Twitter for the channel that I don't do here. And so if you want to see some of my, my anti-shill and anti-Disney work, that's the place to go. And then the interview with Nerd Migos. And of course, hello from Scotland, the one and only Star Wars Scran. How are you doing? I'm waiting for you to return to Twitter. I want you to come back into the cesspool with us. I know. It sounds crazy, right? And I know you maybe have your own reasons for not going, and I respect that or whatever, but I would love to see you back and, engaging and, and it's easier. And I know you have your own Discord and stuff, and that's cool, but it would be good to have you back over there. So hit the like button and subscribe, just like Scran says. Yes, and check out my merch. I still have to take care and put up some new merch. And I'm so friggin' bad. I have to do registration for my bead classes because I'm going to start bead classes every Friday evening here in my studio. And I have to get the registration up. And I also have to get the gallery up so you guys can purchase archival paper prints of my print, whether my artwork, whether it is Star Wars or not. So yeah. So what's in your mug? Yes, what's in your mug? And Melissa Lord, another channel member. How are you doing? And then we have the discrepant here. Good morning, all. Bunce Book. Everybody's showing up. You guys are fucking amazing. Yeah. Hello. How's everyone doing? And how are you doing? Bunce Book. Yeah, so go check out Bunce Book's channel as well. He uploads a lot of novel clips and stuff. He is having a dispute right now with some major books like Revenge of the Sith and Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, which is kind of funny because I do have clips from those books on my channel for EU shorts, and it's crazy how one channel will showcase something and get strikes or whatever, and then other doesn't. So I don't know, it's kind of odd. It is very, very odd. And Matthew says here, now Disney owns her likeness. Sick. I know. And on top of that, the family gave permission after her death. That's a major thing. Excuse me. Jeremy Hughes. Rest in peace, Drew Struzan, a true legend of movie poster making. Oh, it was more than just movie posters. It's more than movie posters. And how are you doing? Look at all those cups of coffee. I'm going to scroll down and say hi to people I haven't said hello. So I'm not, intentionally, or there's intention for me scrolling past, but I'm not doing it in a bad way. I just want to say hi so we can get into the topics that we're going to talk to today about today. Holy shitful. Hey, how are you doing? Let's see here. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Thank you for re-upping your membership. You are friggin' amazing. All right. And Lucas Gerson is here. Hello there, everyone. And I just want to see what Melissa has to say here. These fake fans who only started watching Star Wars because of the Rona, the Rona times, because they were stuck at home, are annoying. You don't really care. You were just bored. There you go. Mic drop right there. Mic drop right there. All right. I don't know how the weather is over where you guys are at, where you live in the parts of the world where you're located. But we are cooling down. We've had some rain here in the Central Valley. There's times where we're still pretty warm during this time, but not now. And boy, are my sinuses feeling it. I mean, I don't feel bad or anything. It's just my sinuses a little bit, just a little bit. But it is annoying, just to say the least. What? I'm in the hospital for my fistula surgery. Well, thank you for tuning in. And, my heart is out to you on a good surgery and a fast recovery. Thank you for tuning in while you are there. Hopefully I can entertain you before you have to go through procedure. Some people are so funny. It's so funny to see things like that. I'm calling ice on you. Okay, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Don't forget Tom Jung. The poster is amazing. Or the 1976 World Composter from Howard Chaykin. Yeah, this is not to discredit any other poster contributors for Lucasfilm. This is just in memory of Drew. So that's what this is about. But yes, I agree. Don't forget about all the other amazing artists that Lucas brought in for his company to use to give us fans a greater vision of his vision of Star Wars. And how are you doing there? Happy to have you here with us. Let's see here. And I think Diddly Squat is here. Hello. It is 5 minutes after the hour, so we can brew a fresh pot of coffee. There you go. Go do it. The cesspool. Yes, I know you knew what I was talking about. I've been archiving those deleted experts then on my Discord server and on Rumble. So not all is lost. That is very good. If we can get your Rumble and stuff like that. And I don't know how. I have to go and I'm not in your Discord. So I'll have to go check that out. If you want to share or allow Soul Assassin or Scram to share, that would be great. And then Matt G, Crouching Tiger, or Tyler. Crouching Tyler Hidden Swift is here. What's up? Quiet Drawer is here. Hello. And the Fractured Filter. And what the hell is a fistula? Now what? Don't tell me. I don't want to know, but best wishes and quick recovery at ya. Yes. And let's see here. Do you think Darth Caedus and Darth Krayt Sith Order contradicted the prophecy of the Chosen One? No, not really. I really don't think so. Because there is no, like, prophecies don't have timelines and expiration dates or activation dates. So the prophecy is about at the time, the darkness that was created by Sidious, that huge dark times and stuff like that. So yeah, we can get into that. Woo, excuse me. Woo, hello. We can get into that kind of talk in the future. I can't wait for that kind of talk. I cannot wait whatsoever. All right. So with that being said, let's get into our segues here, our little topics that I always have, and we'll do this one first.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
All right. So this one here, hopefully you guys can hear me. This is Lucas Facts, of course. So Lucas Facts, Drew was an artist of the highest order. And this is from George Lucas about Drew's passing. I used it as a Lucas Fact because it's straight from Lucas himself. And it is about Drew. So Drew was an artist of the highest order. His illustrations fully capture the excitement, tone, and spirit of each of my films. his artwork represented. His creativity through a single illustrated image opened up a world full of life and vivid color, even at a glance. I was lucky to have worked with him time and time again. And this is George Lucas on Drew Struzan's passing. So I thought I'd share this as a Lucas fact as paying homage to the man himself, Drew Struzan. We will get into the topic of him pretty soon, because I want to present, everybody knows him because of the posters, but I want to present more about him. And I think it's very important that we do. So Drew Struzan right there talking with George Lucas, and we're going to go from there. So yes. So again, Drew was an artist of the highest order. That's from Mr. Lucas. And just imagine, to get the notice of Lucas to help create the visualization of your universe, of your ideas of this vast universe you created that came from your mind, or George's mind, basically, is what I'm saying, and bring it to life. So I think George, with everything, tried to bring the best of the best, the quality of the quality. People who would work with him regarding his lore, the universe he built, and that's it. Not like Disney, and I hate to say this, not like Disney, who is bringing people in because they want them to put in modern politics and stuff like that. But George is like, let's build this world that people want to use as an escapism from what's going on around us. Yes, he used themes, all of that, but he created Star Wars in its own atmosphere of politics, of world building, of events, all of that, of historical events. It's a historical timeline. And Drew helped bring that to life. Whether it got you excited for the posters, or not for the posters, for the movies because of the posters, but of the posters, of course, because those are art pieces in themselves, right? I am thankful and just very awesome. It was just amazing to find a poster that was signed by him. And I'm going to get that framed up. I'm going to put it in an archival glass so that it could, stand the test of time. And so I'm blessed to have something like that. But yeah, we see posters, like, especially in the olden days, my children, my grandchildren, hey. But in the past, before we had this greater essence, this greater foundation, or whatever you want to call it, of social media, everything was like, you go into to rent your videos, right? And you go into theaters, and you still see posters in theaters, but it was more predominant back then, of seeing movie posters when you went to Blockbuster, seeing movie posters when you went into like Walmart. I mean, I don't even think they have the aisle there anymore where you can look at movie posters and pick out your favorite movie poster, right? Remember that, you guys? Remember just going to Walmart and looking at movie posters? Or am I one of the only ones? I don't know. But, going to shopping places and looking at movie posters. Now, there are some places in the malls that still has that access, and that's great. But it used to be more predominant than it is now. So the posters were a glimpse into what we were going to watch. And Drew painted these posters, and we'll get more into this pretty soon here, and brought it to life. And then, of course, the trailers were there on TV. You know, every time their commercial came on, there was some kind of movie trailer going on and stuff. So we had those. And this is like even before cable was predominant as well. You know, when it used to be just a few channels to choose from. And I'm going back way back in the day. Some stores have small sections of posters, but it's mostly of newer slop. Yeah, you have to really go in and go into a specialty shop to find these older posters. Like what is it called? Amoebus, or I forget what the name it's called. But anyways, my daughter will probably be like, Mom, that's not what it's called. But yeah, so back in the day, we were surrounded by the movie culture, and it was pretty neat because you can get past and present posters. The newer ones went quicker, and you would have to wait until a new shipment came in. You know, so those were the friggin' days. The days of physical media are dying, unfortunately. I, however, have been going back to physical media, DVDs and books. Yes. And that's what is needed. We need to go back to, you know, where we can hold everything in our hands, like read, all of that. Because the more we go electronic, the more it goes AI, the more it goes to Chat GPT, the more they're going to start rewriting history and changing shit on us and stuff like that. And no kidding. I think it's dangerous. And the rewriting history, that's even with historical events, like from my people. We have been fighting to get the true, real history out, what happened to us. And there's a lot of people I talk to that are like, I didn't know that event happened, or we only heard this. And it's very important to have all sides of the events out so that people can have a better understanding with what has happened in historical events, but that also goes with our movie events and stuff too. Yeah, so I'm not going to go on to this. I'm not going to step onto my pedestal and talk all about that because we're not here to talk about historical events and stuff. However, we are in reality talking about historical event with Drew and how like movie posters and stuff have brought us into the theaters, got us excited. And Drew is one of those visionaries that George had faith in to share, you know, his vision, what's going on. And we'll get into that more. So let me see what you guys are saying. I've been reading kind of off from the side and not highlighting you guys, but let me see here. Mike Cosia says, I loved his art and Shadows of the Empire. Yes, we'll get into that too as well. And Conrado says the New Hollywood era, New Hollywood was an era where the then new generation of directors created new franchises inspired by the movies they watched as children. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and get into our next segue here. And here we go.
I hate to say it, but it looks like the item you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
And before I open up the clip to share what the book of the week is, let me go ahead and put this on here. Soul Assassin, reminiscing about movie posters. Take it easy, Gen Xer OG. Okay, mister, you know you were partly raised by your Gen Xer sister. And you know what that would like cost you right now? If I could just reach over through electronics and bop you on your fucking head. OG's getting violent here. No, that's funny. He understands. All right. So this is not necessarily Star Wars like novel sort of. However, it is still Star Wars related. Yes, he's laughing right here. He just had to take that. He had to try to take that swing, right? You had to try to take that swing. And it's me with my hand on his forehead while he's trying to swing, and I'm just laughing at him. All right. So you know what it's about, Vato. You know. Anyways, So this is not particularly, like I said, a novel or source book, but again, it's still a source book for Lucasfilm. It's still a source book for Star Wars in a sense, even though he has also done arts for other franchises and stuff. So I thought this was very important since we're paying memorial to this artist that has basically opened up a vast history, a vast visualization of history for fans of, like, even Harry Potter, for example. And then it also has a Back to the Future as well. So we were all influenced. Most of us grew up with some of this or most of this, and I thought it was very important to make this the book of the week. So this is The Art of Drew Struzan, and I did order it for myself. I'm going to put it on my bookshelf because I think it's very important since it's a source book for the art of Star Wars as well. So this was written by Drew Struzan and David Shaw, and forwarded by Frank Darabont, and it was published September 14th, 2010. So all of his, I would like to say a lot of his or all of his pieces that he's done is put in here. So I do have a PowerPoint clip that we're going to go over. Let's see here. Cover art is how we used to pick movies at the Blockbuster. Laugh out loud. Yeah, very, very true. So these are, I still kept it as continuity notes because it is about continuity of the book, right? He is the favorite artist of both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and the artist behind some of the most iconic images of our time. He is Drew Struzan. Struzan has worked on the posters for the biggest films of the last 30 years: Blade Runner, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, to name but a few. The first ever book to cover Struzan's iconic poster artwork in depth, with the final artwork for each piece accompanied by a background and an anecdote from the exclusive interview with the artist. So basically, it's movie covers or movie posters in general, but we'll get into more of what he did for Lucasfilm as well. And so I think this is very important since we're paying our respect to this genius of a creator, this painter. And, as an artist, I could say, oh, art's pretty easy for me. I've been doing it since I can remember picking up a crayon. There's a lot that goes into it. So you could still become an artist. You could still take lessons to become an artist, go to art school, what have you. But learning perspectives, learning about hues and tones and shapes, and all of that. And like light versus dark, shading versus light, all of that. It takes time, and it takes a skilled eye. And not saying you can't develop a skilled eye. We all have skills and stuff that we are either born with, or we learn, or we pick up, right? So it takes a skilled eye and stuff. And I think this man has that skill, and it has, opened our eyes up to these movies. Got us excited for them, and all of that. And like, look at Harry Potter right here in this image. That's his painting of him. Look how real it looks like. It's like a photography or something like that. And that goes with the other images that are on this this book cover that is being presented here. So very, very, very great work. Even like the glowing of the lightsabers, all of that. We'll get into this here pretty soon. So you could tell which posters are made by hand and which are made by AI. Yes, an AI will give a person 6 or 7 fingers. It's kind of funny, or a couple of thumbs or whatever, or misplace the location perspective of the person's body when they're sitting with someone or whatever. So AI, it is a tool for ideas, but I think taking away the actual hand of the artist And I'm not saying digital. Digital is also used by the hand of the artist, because I do digital art. I have my digital pen, and I can select from, pen to brush on what I'm doing. Or if I wanted to make it look like watercolor versus drawing or what have you, then I can, I can click for that, and that will be what's being put on the image, or drawn out in the image, or painted on the image, or whatever. That itself, you have the artist's hands. But AI, in a sense, it's good for ideas, or quick, and I would say like quick thumbnails and stuff for YouTube, because it takes time. No one's going to sit down and paint a damn thumbnail for YouTube or whatever. So I get that. But when it comes to full-on professional art and stuff like that, I think the person is what is needed. And it's now becoming less and less and less, predominant and valued. And hardly anybody is looking out for a painter to do something for them, or artists in general. And I think, I'm not saying it's a lost art, because we have a lot of talented, gifted people, and I know a lot of them, but it's just not favorable right now. And I would love to have another renaissance with art. That would be fucking amazing, right? And you guys all know I'm an artist. You've seen my work, and, this is a guy that his work is phenomenal and inspires me. So, all right, let me go ahead and click out of this. Let me see what you guys are saying. Painting is a skill to be able to do at a high level. Is like being a great musician. It takes practice. Correct. Oh boy, do I know. I was this one time at band camp, I was in the band. I played clarinet. I know the dedication. I was in choir. I got awards for my voice when growing up. I was a soprano. So I could go way up there in pitch now, and my voice is not conditioned and worked and exercised to hit the notes that I want to now. I know how to harmonize. I know how to sing with my family, all of that. Hey, Bato, how are you doing? And, so I'm like this multifaceted person, like when it comes to the arts of singing, instruments, dancing, painting, but arts, like the visual arts, I guess you could say, painting and all this stuff is my higher love, is something I've been doing. Since I can remember. I would get up and nerd out on all the art programs on PBS growing up. And that's including like Bob Ross and stuff like that. I loved playing with shapes and shading, creating like silicone, like not silicones, but cone shapes with the shading, spheres, blocks, all of that, and see how I could put them together to create something. I really like realism. I'm not very much of an abstract artist. I like realism. If you guys can tell, I've taken some Star Wars images like Bane and Zana and stuff like that and made them more real. And also like with Quinlan Voss, all of that. So I like realism more than ever. I do play around with abstract art, but that's not my forte, I guess you could say. Everybody has if you're an artist, you'll notice what someone is good at, and they kind of stick to that and make it their own kind of quote unquote brand. Silver Orc says, AI is improving rapidly. I spent decades just to go where I am now. People who would have paid for character sketches just use free AI. I know it's kind of disheartening to the artists as well, because of years of developing your skills and your own talent. Because when you look at an art, you can see the person in the art. You could say, oh, I could tell that this is so-and-so's piece. Right? Like you could tell the difference between Struzan and Ralph McCurry, obviously. And that's kind of like taken away with AI. Got ourselves a band geek here. Yes, you do. I played in the band. I was in the marching band. I was on a dance team as well. It's like I did a lot of things, and I did it because it was fun. I had myself a good time. A good time growing up. I was a big nerd. I played in the band. I was on the dance team at one point. I got awards for my art no matter what. I was like, all my electives, all of my stuff was basically art. but it was easy A's for me. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but it was easy A's for me. We need an artist union to combat AI. Wow, that's an interesting thing and concept. I wonder if that could be something that could fruition. Even comic covers used to be amazing. Dave Dorman, I used to collect. Hugh Fleming, AI or L. Williams. I said AI because that's what I've been seeing. L. Williamson was one of my favorite, but he never quite got the likeness of the actors. I think he modeled himself as Han. You could kind of see, like I said, artists put themselves into the art as well. Whether it's literally putting themselves or you could just tell by their style where the art comes from. And so it's just amazing. Like now, hopefully when we're done here talking about Drew and all this other stuff, that when you go away and you start looking at like the different comics like Jan Duursema and all of that, versus like the other artists that had made comics and art for Lucasfilm, maybe you could start seeing the similarities, but yet the distinctive differences, and distinctly say, oh, that's Jan's art versus this is Drew, and this is Ralph McCreary, and this is Chang, and blah 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 blah. So I hopefully you leave with a broader perspective on how you see art. I'm not giving an art lesson here whatsoever, but it just opens up our minds a little bit more like, oh, okay, I see what Alora is saying, and just honoring art that way as well. Unions don't help people. They just extract resources from them to find politicians who want to control people. Another interesting topic right there. There's a pros and cons and everything, but if you don't want like government control, I would try to stay away from that. Being a Native American, fuck the government. That's all I got to say about that. All right. So let's see here. So you guys have been sitting here with me for almost an hour talking with this female fan, this female Star Wars fan. So how many of you guys are on Twitter? Like I said, I don't know if I've seen anything on Facebook regarding this, but how many of you guys are on Twitter and seeing this back and forth about female fans? Female fans. Yep, that narrative came back again. And it was all because of that novel that's being announced. That's going to be the Disney Star Wars first romance novel. What do you guys think about that? Disney Star Wars first romance novel. When you think of Star Wars, do you think about romance novels? Do you think about romance novels? Because that's the topic that has been going on, and I spoke out about it too as well, in a sense to where there is romance in Star Wars. I mean, we got to give it that, right? Because we've seen, clips with not clips. I want to say clips. We've seen it in Attack of the Clone with Padme and Anakin. Soul Assassin says, I think about Zeltros. He comes in with that. It's like, I'm coming in with the win. I think about Zeltros. And then we also seen it like even in the EU, and I don't know how many of you guys read this novel, but Tatooine Ghost. We see it a bit with Han Solo and Leia. We see it throughout the whole damn series. We see it from the OT all the way through. There's always some kind of flirting in a way, but it doesn't mean that Star Wars has romance novels. It's just how the characters interact, right? And so Disney Star Wars is crowning themselves now for having their first romance novel coming out, and I didn't see the date because I can care less, but it's in productions, or it's going to be coming out, and that's the kind of the backlash, the beginning of this backlash, or this, I wouldn't say it's backlash either, but it's just tired narrative. But that's the beginning of the narrative, the rhetoric that's going on. So I'm going to pull that up here pretty soon, but I'm going to read this right here. Nerd Migos, you can add romance to George Lucas's Star Wars mythology melodrama, correct? But this is just another Disney Star Wars genre transplant, a romance novel with Star Wars sprinkled on top, correct? And I have said many times before, since I seen the announcement, that Star Wars is not about like romance. But we do have people who are like, oh, well, I can't wait to see Star Wars break away from the norm. Okay, sure. I mean, you like Disney Star Wars, that's good. I'm not telling you what you should and shouldn't like. I'm just looking at the premise, the foundation of what George Lucas created, right? And myself as a female fan, I came in under that, for what George created, for the mythology and the sci-fi that he created, right? I didn't come in here for romance novels. I can get that somewhere else. And one of my favorite writers is Nora Roberts. And I love it because she does her romance novels with like culture. And she plays with Irish culture because I think she's Irish. And I think it's very interesting and neat how she writes. And I like hers versus any other. I've never been into romance novels until her. And so, you know, give credit where credit is due when it comes to me. But being a female Star Wars fan doesn't mean that I want romance novels either. Like, we're going into the stereotype of what people think we like to read. And I think it can be varying just as much as they try to say that, you know, there's varying genders and stuff. Women can like other things. It doesn't have to be smut romance bullshit, right? It could be sci-fi. Like my grandma, I call her Unchi. That's grandma in Lakota. She loved her Star Trek. She loved her Star Trek, and she loved wrestling. She loved WWF. The woman had a dream about herself wrestling Jake the Snake. The next day she woke up so friggin' sore, and I'm like, what's wrong, Grandma? And she's like, I am so sore. I dreamt that I wrestled Jake the Snake, and I'm just like cracking up. I'm like, oh man, she just had herself a time. You know, so we can like a lot of different things. We're not just like, oh, we have to have smutty or romantic or relationship kind of stuff. Correction, a female Gen Xer fan, y'all don't care about feelings. Oh my God. We don't care about your feelings. Oh my God. But yeah, that's my grandma was friggin' amazing. She was an amazing woman. She had her crazy dreams. She loved her stuff, her sci-fi and stuff. And she's one of them that got me into Star Wars. And you know, some of you guys know most of you guys here probably know my story already about how I got into Star Wars. And my family growing up, predominantly women, had a couple of male cousins. They're like my brothers. We grew up like brother and sisters. Yeah. So, and we enjoyed a lot of things, you know, and my grandma did watch her soap operas in a sense. There's one that she particularly liked. And then she also watched Dallas, which I wouldn't say is particularly, soap opera-ish, like you would see. It's like an evening type, I guess. I don't know. But you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I think that there's this stereotype that's being played that, oh, we need more of this type of gender fans to come in. So we're going to do a type of novel to get them involved. And I'm like, hello, I'm right here. I've been a fan since I could remember, since I remember going to theaters and watching Empire Strikes Back for the first time when it came out. And this is the drive-in theaters, not the walk in and sit down. This was like the drive-in where you sometimes smuggled a few of your friends, or the families had a couple of friends smuggled, and then you had your food, you had your watermelon, you had whatever your mom or your auntie or someone cooked up, like fried chicken or whatever, and you had your blankets and, you know, a good time. Good time. And I miss that. I miss those movie theaters as well. It was so intimate, it was so personal, and also freeing, because you got to sit and talk about what you're seeing on the screen without someone shushing you in the theater. Almost like home, but not home. It was outside, and this being outside in the air at night too. Fucking amazing. I know I'm going back and like through all this nostalgia stuff that I grew up with, you know, and it was cheaper too. And, you know, my family, we couldn't afford a lot of things. So that was something that we could afford, is going to the theater and cooking up our own food, popping our own popcorn, sitting under the stars in the blanket or on the hood of the car. You know, good stuff. But going back to female fans. Bun says, I haven't done a drive-in in years. Actually, it technically wasn't. It was more of a picnic. Right. It's like you had your picnic, you had your watermelon sometimes, or whatever, like I said, your mom, your dad, or your auntie or your grandma cooked up for you, and you went in with a bunch of friends or just your whole family because you could afford that carload versus going and walking into the theater. And I think that was fucking amazing. That was amazing. Yuck, female fans. Oh my God. You know, and that would be amazing. Like, where I live at right now, the theater is now, drive-in theater has now been closed down for some time. But that would be neat, fun to be able to take my granddaughter to something like that. A drive-in theater, just hang out as a family and watch a favorite movie, or even take her to watch maybe your favorite show or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, going to female fans. I've been one for a very, very, very long time. And I have never seen the type of things that are happening here today. And how amazing. And yeah, you could say like Marvel and DC and all this is a type of culture. The type of culture with the type of like brilliant imaginative worlds have been created, whether influenced by culture, human culture or not. And I'm gonna say human culture because there's a lot like that were influenced, like from Middle East to somewhere in Europe to maybe now even America, Native American, what have you. But are even just out of nowhere, like George Lucas, like he's like, I'm creating this space opera. And I'm using mythologies that everybody can relate to, no matter what culture you're from, no matter where you're from, you know, kind of deal. And it's going to be in a galaxy far, far away, you know, and all this other stuff. And to see how it's being changed to fit a certain genre of people. And it's been alienating for a long time. We've been seeing this. And so now we have this novel coming out, and now we have this this rhetoric again that's been said since, that's been going on off and on since the new owners have taken hold of Star Wars. So I'm going to share this right here because I think this is crazy and funny at the same time. So Joshy Boy on our Nerd Theory, they went into discussion about no girls allowed Star Wars and how he's so pissed off about that romance novel and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not pissed off about it. It's a Disney Star Wars. However, I am recognizing the changes they're making to what George established, right? And so I don't agree with it, and that's fine, right? So he had his full-on rant, and then so from there, he went to Twitter and was like, no girls allowed, which caught a lot of people's attention. And I'm in the middle of this. I don't agree with him, and I don't agree with other people what they're saying. What I am saying here is take a bigger look into the franchise under the original creator. What has he said before? Well, he said that, he is basically catering to the young men, the male fans, which is fine. It's not saying that we as female fans can't be a part of, right? But that's just what he's like, when his idea was. However, he's never gaslit fans or even female fans, like, you can't listen or read or watch what I'm creating, so we have that. So we have this back and forth, and it's so friggin' tiring. It's like, just exist as fans. Who cares what's between your legs, what's on your body, what have you? Just be friggin' fans of Star Wars, whether it's Disney or not, whether it's George Lucas era or not. Just be the fan. Just be the fan and have a good time. But also speak up about things that you don't like. And that's what I'm here for. Let me see what you guys are saying. This is some Monster Squad. Josh is 12 years old type shit. Laugh out loud. Correct. Let's see here. I mean, screw Disney Wars, but we always had girls in Star Wars fans and characters since 1976, 1977. Correct. And I don't even think he's talking about like the female characters at all. I'm just thinking he is particularly talking about female Star Wars fans. All right, so Matthew says, Ben was the name of Luke's son because Luke had a student master bond with Kenobi. Why would Han's kid be named after Kenobi? Yeah, and that's the thing that we have discussed so many times before. And no sexism allowed, Joshy. And Bunt says, I don't think the gender should play factor in loving something. Just enjoy what you love. Correct. Make friends and have fun with what you love. Most importantly, pretend Disney Star Wars doesn't exist. Yeah, love what you love. And then Melissa says, that's not helping the gay talk, Joshy. Laugh out loud. Right? So let me go ahead and pull something else up here real quick. And let me go ahead and find it here while you guys chat in the chat. I am getting hungry. I did not have breakfast. Shame on me. And my daughter offered me to make me a overnight oats for breakfast last night. And I was like, oh, no, I'm okay. Let's see here. All right. Full screen. So now this is what has been going on with Twitter, on Twitter in response to that. So, and then I watched a latest clip yesterday of Joshy Boys on his Den of Nerds clips, and he was like, oh no, I was just, he basically admitted he was doing this intentional and he wasn't meaning what people thought he was saying. So he was like, so basically he was saying, oh, I'm not saying that girls can't be Star Wars fans. I was just gaslighting to prove that girls are Star Wars fans, basically. So that's what he's saying. And then he blames Elon Musk, which is kind of funny, for people going after him, what have you. So I don't know. It's weird. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy as hell here. So here we go. Star Wars fans flip no girls allowed into viral inclusivity trend on X. So one person, and I think he did this for attention more than anything else. It's a tired narrative rhetoric that we know for a long time that there has been female fans of Star Wars. And for a long time, the long-term female fans, like I'd say like 30% of fans are female, but those are very casual fans, right? And then there's lesser amount that are got into the EU, and they're probably as knowledgeable as I am. So I am in the small minority when it comes to female fans with Star Wars, which I admit. I will argue that 30% are casual female fans, but that's at the very surface level. They just know about Star Wars because of the movies. So that's my argument here. And we are also tired of this narrative that Disney has brought into Star Wars since they have purchased it. So that's another stance that I take. And you guys know that already. So Star Wars fans, in general, just be. And I have always said, I don't care for Disney Star Wars. If you like it, fine. I just don't like the direction, and I'll talk about the direction. I'm not going to talk about, oh, you suck because you like Star Wars. No, that's not me. That's not the stance I take most of the time. There's times where I have gotten into with people with that a debate that turned into basically hate rhetoric. Then I've said a few things back because they opened that can of worms. And if you know me, I will punch back. I'm that kind of person. All right. So on October 15th, 2025, predominantly female Star Wars fans launched a No Girls Allowed trend on X, sharing photos of their collections, cosplay, and memorabilia to counter historical gatekeeping in the franchise. That's no one's gatekeeping a female fan. It's just Joshy Boy being a cunt. The movement highlights women's key contributions, including Carrie Fisher's portrayal of Princess Leia and Marcia Lucas' editing on the original 1977 film. And you know what's funny? Is if you go through all of this, you don't see Lucy Williams. You don't see them sharing Sue Rustoni or any of those female workers behind George Lucas during the time. You don't see that. They only pull up people that they see front and center. These are very casual fans. They're sharing surface level knowledge. They are sharing surface level knowledge of like sharing Princess Leia, Marcia Lucas, and then any like popular female Star Wars character, and then them maybe sharing some kind of toys or trinkets or whatever they bought. This is very surface level right here. There was a lot of women influence under George Lucas, past Marcia, and then past like even Carrie Fisher. Not discrediting any of them, which I can't stand Marcia Lucas, and there's various facts why I can't. But to give credit where credit's due, she helped edit. She did. She contributed, and she was also his wife. So I'll give her that. While men and non-binary fans joined to promote unity, the trend garnered over 760 engagements, transferring an inclusionary phase into celebration of diverse fandom. And only because of one person that they decided to make go viral. I could care less if someone says I don't belong in something. You know why? Because their words are not solid. Basically, they don't mean anything, because I've been doing this for how long now? Since I could remember, not just being on YouTube, but being a Star Wars fan, right? It's meaningless. It's meaningless. And I don't need to make something to go viral to make myself legit fan either. I'll just show up here on YouTube, or I'll just share the stuff I have, or I'll have conversation with you guys on Twitter or what have you. Or I'll just go watch the movie, or I'll go pick up a book. You know, we've been like myself. I'm the female fan behind the New Jedi Order Renaissance that people have been picking up and talking about since I've helped bring that out through a Renaissance, right? But I don't need to go over there and yell my head off saying, look at me, I'm a Star Wars fan. No, I just do. I just do. So I think this is just overblown stuff. Overblown. No one can take away your fandom, no matter if you're a George Lucas era Star Wars fan or not. If you're a Disney Star Wars fan or not. My opinions can't take that away of something you like. And the same goes with someone towards me. When you allow that to happen, you give people your power. Fuck that shit. Stand up for yourself. You know, I come from a family and a people that has stood up for a very, very long time for our own rights and stuff like that. We'd never, I would say, bent the knee. never gave up. You know, I have a strong background when it comes to my family ties with Wounded Knee and with my great grandfather and stuff. And I've learned, like even through my grandmother, like our matriarch, to stand up. Stand up for your culture, stand up for your language, stand up for what you believe in, stand up for, you know, what you like. Be that voice. So again, I'm not trying to put myself on this pedestal or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, but also if it's just one little voice, you could just ignore that shit. Just move on as well. So there we go. So that's the latest here. This is the cringe factor. I didn't play any cringe factor, my cringe factor clip, but here we go.
So uncivilized.
So I wouldn't say I'm a middle ground person with this. I'm just tired of it. It's like, come on now, people. So what? We're all fans of something, right? And let's have fun with it. Let's have fun with it. Now, speaking about having fun, let's go ahead and have some fun talking about Drew and the art. Now, me as an artist, I have a few projects that I have to finish. I've talked to you guys about like my contemporary ledger art that I'm doing. I need to pick that back up. I paused it because of some events that had happened and I need to work through. I believe that energy also can be put into your work. That's something I never talked about when we're talking about the art here. So how you're feeling in the energy can also show up in your work, and it also can create a lot of mistakes as you work. And so I decide, like, even when I bead or do anything like that, if I'm feeling somehow some kind of energy, sometimes I'll take care of my energy and stuff and just not work on that until I feel that I need to, or until I feel like, okay, I'm ready to, you know, kind of deal. So I think that's another thing too. So I have that, and I still have to finish my Darth Zana Fifth Eye, which basically is, there's a few things I want to do with her. I guess you could say layer 2 or finishing layers, I guess you could say, if you want to go that way. And then with Darth Bane, I have to varnish it. So that's sealing in the work. And then after I'm done with that, and then also varnishing Darth Zana, I think I will go ahead and get some professional images made so that you guys can, you know, get them on a mug or get them print so you can hang them up or what have you. So that would be fun. I think that you guys, and then I have to figure out who else I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do Sidious next. Darth Sidious next. There's an idea that I want to do of his with his eyes. Like, I think it's an Return of the Jedi, where it looks like his eyes are almost glowing in one scene. And I think it's in the throne room. I think I have to go back and find it now. And I want to do something like that where it looks like you could see his red eyes, and it has kind of like almost like a glow, but it's not a glow like it's Chiss kind of glow, but you could just tell there's some kind of light around them, or it's like they're just so bright, I guess you could say, kind of like intimidating, I guess you could say, in a way, that there's something I want to do with that. So, but anyways, talking about art, let's go back to Drew. Let's go back to the fun shit, right? Let's go back to the fun stuff. So Drew, let me see. Okay, slide 1. In Memory of Drew Struzan. So what do you guys know about his art other than posters? I have said something in the beginning. And what do you guys think about his art? Because he's got this realism type classical look, right? Like this image here with George Lucas, and like bits and pieces of almost all the art that he did, and looks like for particularly Lucasfilm, is on here. And it's amazing. Like you could see like the image of the steam coming up behind Darth Vader here. You have Luke right here with the twin suns behind him, and it's right against, you know, Vader, which is brilliant because it ties into these two being from, Tatooine and stuff like that. And then you have the bottom here with Leia and the droid and all this. You have the Death Star. I mean, it's just how this is pieced together. Then on the side, you have Harrison for Indiana Jones kind of deal. I mean, so there's a lot going on here that is visually pleasing, and you can point out like scenes of certain events or certain movies or shows. So it makes George look heroic. I like how he looks very stoic here, doesn't he? And this man does not seem he has lost a single, strand of hair. Like his hair is still phenomenal today. This guy has amazing hair. The creative impulse, Lucas's first 25 years. Yes. Let's see here. Girls couldn't be fans of Star Wars. Tell that to my sister, who was the biggest Wicket and Ewok. Look at the Ewok fan. I remember watching those Ewok movies with her and being like, where is the lightsabers in action? Right? Yeah. We all are fans of something when it comes to any type of franchise we love. We have a certain character or a certain storyline. And I think it's amazing. And then we light up when we talk about it, right? We light up when we talk about it. And, just feeling that enthusiasm, it's contagious, right? It's contagious. Let's see here. I already showed that. Yeah. All right. So here we go. The Memory of Drew Struzan. Excuse me. Let me take a drink of my caf. All right. Let's see here. So born March 18th, 1947. He is 2 years younger than my oldest auntie. Passed on October 13th, 2025. Excuse me, let me go ahead and get this out. All right. Let's see here. So it's just recently, Monday, and, prayers out to his family, for their loss. And now he is in, I guess you could say, a better place from his disease that he died from. An American artist, illustrator, and cover designer, he more than, it says for more than 150 films. I don't know why it says he more. I checked the spell check earlier before I put this up. I don't know what that's from. Film posters, which include the Shawshank Redemption, Blade Runner, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, as well as films in the Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Harry Potter, and Star Wars film series. He also printed album covers, collectibles, and book covers. Drew was known for his airbrushed one-sheet technique when designing film posters. He began using this process early in his career when he designed posters for B movies. The technique was well received by several film directors such as Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, which Struzan would become frequent collaborator for their film posters. And this is not exactly how I had this on the paragraphs I had on. So it switched up and kind of muddled some stuff up when I downloaded this on StreamYards, and StreamYards can do that. Did you know that he created the first logo, the original logo for ILM? And this is it right here. So this is the first original logo for ILM. So the more you know, right? The more you know. Let's see here. So like I said, you probably will learn some things that maybe you haven't, and maybe there's something that you know, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember, or you're re-remembering, I guess you could say. So Bunt's book says, George Lucas is a visual guy. He loves to present things through picture and motion pictures. George had great taste in picking the artist, even with the prequels, which many people disregard. Yes, George was like, he had this vision. He knew what he wanted and how he wanted, like what type of actors, what type of persona, what type of person for that. So the prequel trilogy posters, and mind you, I don't have, like, when it comes to the OT posters, I didn't use all of them, but I put up a couple that maybe I think that maybe some of you guys may or may not know. Prequel trilogy posters, did every single one of them here. So very, very epic here. How many of you guys have these posters or have had these posters? Let me know in the chat. George Lucas had a brilliant eye for visuals. Like a few other directors, he started as an editor and documentary filmmaker. Yeah, pure art. I agree. Love those posters. Rest in peace, Drew, in memory of his awesome book art. Yes, books art. Yes. And when these came out, going back to the nostalgia back in the day, when these came out, for a lot of us that maybe grew up with the OT or even growing up with the PT when they first came out as youngins, I guess you could say, as the youngins, did you rush to get these posters too? Did you get them, or like at some theaters, if you frequent that, sometimes the theater owner will like remember you and gift you a poster. Have you, any of you guys experienced that before? I've heard stories about that. And I think I've had like a sister or nephew or sister-in-law or a nephew that was, was given some posters before. That would be, so again, going back into nostalgic times, back in the day. Back in the day. Soul Assassin said, sadly, no, I don't have the film posters, but have a huge Sator poster I got from GameStop. There you go, GameStop. GameStop is another place where you could pick up posters, but it's been a while since I've been in there. So how is it now? From Star Wars, Blade Runner, and American Tail, Harry Potter, and Back to the Future, masterpieces. Yeah, like I said, I'm not discrediting the other ones that he did. I'm just particularly showing Star Wars since this is a Star Wars related channel. And then Star Wars A New Hope poster. So I put Star Wars / A New Hope poster. So I use these two. I think there's two others that I could have put on here, but I didn't. So the one in the white background, that's the one where I have his autograph on. And this other one is the special edition. So I just wanted to share comparison with it in his ideas and stuff. In his ideas. Hey, Dan Blackwhite is here. How are you doing? I like that Drew took the effort to create those two other posters, even though the saga ended at one. He's in here for the win, and he's talking about this. All right. Oh, that's hilarious. So here we go. So again, we're going through movie posters first right now. So like I said, before, like shortly after, like when was it Empire Strikes came out, when he started doing, he labeled the episodic name and number for Star Wars A New Hope and stuff like that. So this is Star Wars in general, and then you have the special edition, what have you. And then Empire Strikes Back posters. So again, like I said, there's I think one or two more that I didn't put on here. So you have one of the originals and then special edition 2 as well. So you could see the differences over time from what George was creating and then taking a different perspective, I guess you could say, on what's going on in, in the show and stuff like that. Like everybody loves this Han and Leia poster of them, like him holding Leia as if he's going to kiss her. Everybody, like for a long time, people were saying, this is my favorite poster. What do you guys think? Does 2 people count as a group? Let's see here. Yeah, I love the OG New Hope artwork. Just Star Wars back then. Correct. Let's see here. The one on the right is the one I remember for Empire. Yeah. And I think a lot of people remember the one on the right more so than the other one. Let's see here. Such iconic posters. Correct. And let's see here. Look at Vader's cape on the one is in one of the posters. You're talking about the one with the light, like the light gray blue background with the white frame around it. And notice here, and I'm going to point this out, the Star Wars saga continues. There's a lot of novels that has that print on the top of the novel covers. The Star Wars saga continues. So when you have these anti-EU people say, "Oh, the EU is not a part of the movies or a part of Star Wars; it's a parallel universe kind of deal," well, they too say the Star Wars saga continues. So if they weren't a part of that, why would they print that at the top of the book, right? At the top of the book. All right, you guys are going. I love what you guys are saying in the chat. Now, I did 3 here because can't forget about Revenge of the Jedi poster, right? Return of the Jedi poster. So we have the very first concept 1, Revenge of the Jedi, and then George changed the name almost last minute. So the saga continues on top. And the middle one right here, you have, I believe this is the special edition one, I think. I don't remember now. It's last night I was putting all this together and visiting with my family. And then Return of the Jedi, Return to a Galaxy Far Away. This one right here on the very right is a rare poster that he did as well. That is the Return of the Jedi. That I'm guessing rare. There wasn't that many prints made of it, and it's not as popularly known. And so I thought I'd share that as well. That's why there's 3 here. I think there would have been 5 on here altogether if I would have did all of his posters for Return of the Jedi. Let's see here. The Empire's poster with Vader's outreached hand is awesome. I wish that was the North America. I like the alternate with Vader reaching out with the Force. Correct. Revenge of the Jedi. Nice. Yep. That's an excellent poster right here. And when you see the images for Revenge of the Sith with Anakin Vader versus Obi-Wan versus Luke and Vader, very similar here. So you see here with Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting, it's like poetry. It rhymes, right? And then you have here father and son dueling, just almost, I wouldn't say the same stance, but you have the same kind of demeanor, I guess you can say. Yeah, the middle is a triptych. Yeah. A triptych. Oh my God. It rhymes like poetry. Revenge, return, and rise. Oh my goodness, not that. All right, let's get into this right here. So the expanded universe covers. Now he did not do this image here. I believe I forgot to get the name, and I can't remember on the top of my head. But he didn't do this expanded universe image. I just wanted to share it because they were going into the expanded universe. Now I like this image of Drew here with his paintbrushes and how the light and the dark. You have the shadow and everything on him. And you see his hands and his face and stuff. Just brilliant image of him. That's why I had to share it. So the expanded universe here. Now, my slide was about 18 slides long, and I had to shorten it because it was too big of a file to upload here on StreamYards. So these images were just going to be 3 on each so you could see more detail. And if I would have took the Corellian trilogy and used every single book cover, it would have been a little longer. So we have the Black Fleet Crisis, and this is not in chronological order. So I didn't lay them out in chronological order. Let me see here. Yeah, there we go. So you have the Black Fleet Crisis. You have the Children of the Jedi, Corellian Trilogy, the Courtship of Princess Leia, both covers, both versions. Let's see here. And then you have Dark Saber, Kevin J. Anderson, The Crystal Star, and then you have Darth Maul comics. So here's like the main one here, like, and then you have all 4 of them, including the same one that is in bigger form here. Very, very good stuff. Like look at how he, and I wish I could like zoom in to show a bigger picture close up. But look how he did Maul here. It's friggin' amazing. And then Maul here with the facial features here. And then here we go. We have Ambush. I did put them up here. Ambush at Curly. I did use that one. So I'm like, wait a minute here. So here's a Corellian trilogy. And then I use Ambush at Corellia right here, which is part of the Corellian trilogy. That's the wrong one. It should have been a different one for the Han Solo trilogy here. So that's a mistake of mine. But you have the Han Solo trilogy here. He is responsible for. And you have the Thrawn duology. So Spectre of the Past and Visions of the Future here. And then you have the Jedi Prince series, and basically the Glove of Darth Vader, the Lost City of the Jedi, Zorba the Hutt, Revenge. You have the mission. Let me get that out of the way. Whoops. Get out of there. So you have the mission to Mount Yoda, and then you have the Queen of the Empire and the Prophets of the Dark Side. So he did all these covers as well. And so do you see his artistic style? Do you guys recognize his artistic style? Because that would be cool. Like I said, I hope you guys take away something when we leave here. You could say, oh, that's a Struzan piece versus that's a Ralph McQuarrie, or that's a Chang, or whatever. Robot Leia bad. Mount Yoda. Visions of the Future is where he took the idea from Maul's eye in the Phantom Menace poster. Ken is greater than Rey. So hopefully you're seeing his artistic styles here. And then you have Last of the Jedi. So he's done four covers. And here they are. So, and some of you guys are familiar with the series, this young reader series. Some of you guys aren't. And, I've used this in debates with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show about Obi-Wan really doesn't leave Tatooine. Well, he left like I wouldn't say soon after, but like after the events of Kenobi, he did leave. And basically, the Force was taking him on this journey to make sure that, I would say it was Force-led. You got to read the stories to make sure, like, any evidence of Padme's birth of the twins was destroyed. So that's what that was about in a nutshell. And then it was only the first 2 books. And after that, the story stayed with... what's his name here? I can't think of his name. Olin. Whatever. Ferris Olin. There we go. Ferris Olin. So it stayed with him. So I would highly recommend to read this. Some people like it. Some people don't. But it just gives us some more story towards like Leia and Bail and all of that. So if you want to get more into that type of thing, feel free to pick up this series here. You can get it on thriftbooks.com for not that much money at all. But he is responsible for these 5 covers here. The problem isn't Kenobi leaving Tatooine at some point. The problem is leaving to rescue baby Leia. Well, I think there's a problem with him leaving Tatooine as well. There has to be a reason, like a dire reason to do that. And that was to protect Luke and Leia. Both of them from being discovered. Okay. And Lucasfilm even sent out a disclaimer about Obi-Wan is not supposed to leave Tatooine. And so after the storyline, it was squished. It was squished. And then you have, here you have The New Rebellion, Planet of Twilight, I, Jedi. And you have a source book here, an RPG role-playing game source book. The, let's see here. Rebellion Era source book. And then you have Shadows of the Empire. Shadow of the Empire is probably the main one a lot of people know about. Jedi. I'm glad you like it. I always hear a mixed review on that one. I like it. I don't mind it, but I always hear a mixed review. I love my Glove of Darth Vader book. 3 stories in one book. Glove of Vader, Lost City of the Jedi, and Zorba the Hutt's Revenge. Nice. All right, and let's go on. And then we have Star Wars Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina. Trusat Bakura. And then the Vader story. What the hell? The Rise and Fall of Darth Vader or whatever it's called. So he did this right here. But did you know that he's also responsible for the TV guides? So any Star Wars TV guides covers that you have seen in the past, or those my age, or those in PT era, in that timeline of age or what have you, when TV guides were a thing, basically, when they were a thing back in the day. Oh my God. It's like, it's crazy. Like, I've never thought I'd be here talking, oh, back in the day when this used to exist. Holy crap. I used to giggle, hearing my aunts and even my grandma talk that way. Here I am. Holy crap. And now I think about for my kids and grandkids and stuff. How are they going to be talking? What's going to be their thing? Oh, back in the day when this used to be like this. I wonder what it's going to be for them. But anyways, getting back to the TV guides, he is responsible for all Star Wars covered TV guides. And this one I just wanted to share because I loved it, because if you collected all of these TV guides, they created a picture together. So these top 2 with Maul, and then the pod racing one here with Anakin and Padme here. TV guides, I remember. I laugh out loud, right? I know. It's like crazy. It's like, what? Back in the day, back when I was a youngling, I would say youngling, yeah. The Disney Kenobi second duel is not canon. It's literally on Mustafar and then the Death Star, no other fights. Back when TV guides were awesome. There's trivia in there, crossword puzzles in there, all of that. And then sometimes you had interviews for movies in there. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty neat. I migrated to streaming. Let's see here. I have that book, Rise and Fall of Darth Vader, both Anakin and Vader's artwork. Yes. The front and back, right? The front, well, I have it in my bookshelf. So one side, I think the front is Vader, the back side is Anakin, I believe. That's what I remember. And I'm not going to get up and go grab it, but yeah, it has Anakin and Vader's image. iJedi was better than I thought it would be. Corin really stuck it to XR Kun. Yeah, I think some people didn't care for was how Stackpole shoehorned Corin into the Jedi Academy events. And so that was kind of off for some people, and they didn't like it that much, or that was the criticism. And then also in first person, that was the other criticism. I'm not even old, but I remember a lot of those vintage stuff. Laugh out loud. Yeah. So let's see. I think I'm at the end. Yeah, I'm at the end of this book slide here. And I just wanted, not this book slide, this PowerPoint of artwork here. So which one fascinates you? Which one do you really, really like? Like I said, like Shadows of the Empire is one of the classics that people know. Which one did you like? Which ones were you surprised about? Like, oh, I didn't know Drew did those. Here we have these here from the Jedi Prince series, the Glove of Vader, Darth Vader, all of that. And then you have the Han Solo trilogy, the Corellian trilogy, which like I said, I screwed up. That should have been the first book there. Yeah. Being distracted by baby. I'm not apologizing or making an excuse. That's just what happened. And I don't care. I love that. Love that girl to bits and pieces. Just love her. And then, of course, you do have some comic covers as well. So he got into that. Some epic Maul ones. Those Tales books are good. Yes. let's see here. And then, of course, you have the Black Fleet Crisis, which I think the Black Fleet Crisis is underrated. It's a very good trilogy. Yeah. And then, of course, these movie posters. Phenomenal. You could tell that he has experience with Maul, especially for episode 1. That image back there is very, very like, oh, intimidating, creepy with Maul in the background, because they're like, oh, the Sith are not extinct. And, you know, so they're trying to put 2 and 2 together and what's going on and how could we have not known that the Sith weren't extinct, you know? So you have like this background, like this figure in the background, and it lends to what the movie is about. I've got The Spectre of the Past, but haven't found the copy of Visions of the Future yet. Oh, a hardcover, Silver? Are you looking for hardcover for those, for that one? Or just paperback? And then again here, maybe some of you guys were surprised about ILM. And you can see his creativity in that as well. Very similar to his other work here. And kind of a shame that it's not being used. It hasn't been, you know, it's only was used for a certain amount of time, you know, because I like how that looks. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm just being whimsical or something like that. Yeah, maybe I'm being whimsical with that. Dan says, I always wondered if Struzan used a camera, let me see. Struzan used a camera obscura type device to get the realism and details of the faces across all his work. They always look for photographic and like he paints with light. Who knows? As an artist, you can take and have the image, you know, like a projector to draw the image and paint from or whatever. So there's so many ways, different ways you can do your work, or it could just be by plain sight. So I'm going to look, once I get that book, I'll let you know exactly his technique, because I was looking for his technique and it wasn't given too much other than he was known for his airbrushed one sheet technique. So airbrushed. So like right here. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, exactly what did he do? Almost there in that ILM logo is heavily Mandrake inspired. George loved all the old pulp comic stuff. Yeah, I know. And I remember sharing that in one of our DMs that we're in together, and you pointed that out. And I was like trying to figure out, where's that guy's image looks so familiar. And pointing that out now has me wondering the same thing as well. So that's one thing I'm going to have to research and look up some more. And once I get to Drew Struzan about talking about his artwork, when I do my Art of Star Wars series, when I start uploading them, I'm going to go ahead and consider that as well. So that can be like, this is where he was inspired. He's, you know, he followed George Lucas in inspiration or whatever. I would love to say that's the fact. I would love to say that's so. And so I will look more into that. All right, let's see here. So again, do you notice his artistic style? And the challenge is like, look at artwork and say that maybe you're not sure of and say, oh, is this Drew? Or I could tell that's Drew's work versus another artist that has worked for Lucasfilm in some capacity, and see who you can recognize, who the artist is behind it. It's easy once you start picking up someone's artistic style. It's easy to say, oh, that piece is from so and so, or that piece is from so and so. But it's easy, says the artist, right? Yeah. So I think we're gonna close here. I was gonna get into New Jedi Order talk, but I'm just gonna leave it as is. So next Thursday, we will conclude the timeline of Dark Journey and move on within the timeline to the next one, and talk about the events going on during that time. So New Jedi Order. How many of you guys are still reading, or what book are you on if you are reading. I am still on Dark Journey. I'm trying to get it finished up. And then also too, if you have not caught Agents of Chaos 2 on Pierce or Bane of Shields channel on Rumble, go check that out. Any of the mods, if you want to go get the link and share, please do that. It was myself and Matt. I did have my stupid computer, my browser failed on me, and then ended up, I guess it closed down because it was getting ready to update. So I got yeeted out of the conversation for some time. But it was myself with Bane or Justin and Matt Wilkins. So go check that out. Some good conversations there. I'm kicking my butt, my own butt, to get back into Jedi Eclipse. Yes, Gran, get into it. Do it. Do it. Quit being lazy. Eh? No. But anyways, I know you're busy with your channel and stuff like that. And I hope that, you know, your move is going well and that you got your visa taken care of or whatever. Yeah, I'd like to hear more updates on that and how's that going with you. You could share later in Discord or whatever. But yeah, with that being said, New Jedi Order next week on Caf Chat. Be prepared for that. Finishing our ending, closing out Dark Journey timeline, so we can move on further into the timeline and have our discussion what's going on. We know the state of the New Republic is now, there's no New Republic. Basically, it's basically decimated at this point, and you have, you know, Hapes being brought in as an ally, even more so, and Jaina, and Tachum is her name, trying to convince Jaina to marry her son, and of course she kills her daughter-in-law. Basically, she has her daughter-in-law assassinated. It's fucking like the Hapes culture is crazy, right? And so we're in that type of timeline, and Anakin's memorial happened there. So I'm just recapping on all that. So now we're pushing forward. And, you know, we have a more so fractured galaxy than what we've seen so far. Yeah, Hapes be wild. Yes, Hapes be wild. Be like Luke and the Force, and Force kick the like button. Yes, thank you so much, Silver Org. And again, I'll have the link out this Sunday, book 6 of Young Jedi Knights. We're beginning that one now, so the link will be out for channel members. And if you haven't became a channel member, please do so and join us. I would love to have every single one of you guys listening to it and being in conversation in the chat about what we're doing in the book club, and listening to and talking about lore pertaining to, and just having a good old time together, right? Just a good old time. Creating community, that's what it's about. Creating community over the franchise we love. We have 72 people here, whether you're watching on Twitter or on YouTube. I didn't link it to Rumble, I'm sorry. So those who are listening and cannot comment, hello, I know you're there. Thank you so much. And that's including those on Twitter. Because if you comment, I'm not going to really see them until after I'm done. Because I don't have my Twitter page up for that. Anyways, with that being said, you guys are amazing. I'm going to go feed myself. I'm hungry, and I'm pretty sure no one cooked in the house, basically. So I'm going to cook a breakfast so everybody can eat here and all of that. Actually, it's going to be lunch because it's almost lunchtime here. But anyways, you guys have a great day. Thank you guys again for your continued support and this memorial, this respectful memorial homage to Drew Struzan and his contribution to Star Wars, and how George, seeing such a talented artist in Drew to help him create the visuals of Star Wars that we know and love. Rest in peace, Drew. And then again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this female Star Wars fan channel. Yeah. And I'm going to play this as we exit. And if you're catching the replay, thank you so much for hanging out with us this long. Let me know that you're still here. Say hello in the chat or comment anything you want, any questions, or follow up on what we're talking about, or your favorite cover image or poster image you like of Drew's. Yes, So thank you again, you guys. Smash that like button and become a channel member. And I shall chat with you later. Have a good one.
I'm telling you, this finale, it's unbelievable how tepid contemporary art seemed compared to the passionate quality of this finale. So you have this like huge, like it's like romantic nature painting, apocalyptic landscape of the lava. Lucas cross-cuts the destruction of the Senate chamber, and you have the destruction of industry going on. And then, after all these horrors, it is so beautiful. I'm saying, my God, nothing in the last 30 years in any of the arts has been produced as emotionally compelling and significant as the finale of Revenge of the Sith.
Another happy landing.